What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm content manager and I'm helping small and medium enterprises with their content strategy. Welcome to a new episode of the Content AI Show, where I'm speaking with developers, investors, entrepreneurs who are deep within the AI niche. And I'm very happy to speak today with Duncan Littlefield. Welcome, Duncan. How are you?
Hey, I'm great, man. How are you today?
I'm great. So, just a short intro. So, you're the CEO of the Littlefield company, where you tell undertold stories by delivering scalable content for purpose-driven companies. That's basically the intro for you. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, again, I just need you to, I need to hire you as our traveling spokesperson because that's it. Like in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Kind of the other tagline that we love over here is that we create connections through kick-ass stories. So that's
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah. That sounds also cool. And we will go deep into this topic because I have many questions that I want to ask you. But first of all, before we jump into your company, can you introduce yourself? So who is Duncan, and what's your passion? Why are you doing the things that you're doing?
Oh man, that's a great question, and I know it's always one of those ones you never really want to talk about yourself. But my name's Duncan. I'm very fortunate to be living part time, or 50-50 between Charlotte and Las Vegas right now, as that's where our two offices are at the
Cool.
Littlefield company. But I have an incredible partner, my wife Susanna, and what we have going on over here at the Littlefield company is just like you said, creating trust through scalable content for purpose-driven companies. And if you really boil that down, it's a video production company with a strong support hand or a strong leverage in strategy and understanding how to develop trust for a consumer, for an audience, or really whatever the company's goals are. And then we have a lot of other side projects going on, and that's built in AI, which is super exciting. But that's hobbies and what I do. What I do. I would say one of my hobbies is definitely golf, as I played professionally for just under 7 years. And so I like to still go tee it up and compare myself to when I was playing every day. But besides that, and I wake up every day with a smile on my face, ready to rock and roll at about 4 a.m. and go get the day because I'm really excited to make an impact and not just make an indent into what I want to accomplish. So that's kind of just a little bit about me. How about that?
That's, I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's live. It's already out there. So I think people will love it. So what I really liked is that you already used twice one special word that is also very important for me. It's trust.
Hmm.
So how to build trust with the content that you produce, because many people have struggled with this point. In order to build trust and win new clients or new investors or whatever it is, you need this trust mechanism. Can you, before we I have a couple of questions based on AI, but can you speak a little bit more about this topic, about trust building in a digital world? I mean, we have COVID, so many people, I mean, it's getting better now, but still many people had struggled with this. So
Hmm.
how do you build trust in a digital world?
it's it's critical, right? If you look at
Yes.
back, I would say I would challenge you back to like, pre-COVID times when you were at like a cocktail party or dinner with friends, and is as simple as going, "How did you meet your dentist?" or a lawyer or anything like that. Is you heard a story from a trusted connection that immediately bound you and the other person. So,
Yes.
reality is I think it's a very simple process. You tell stories that create connection that earn trust. And if you can kind of follow that step and, digitally, that's telling your story and saying, hey, this is me. My name's Duncan. This is what my company does, or whatever that is. But it's starting
Mhm.
at fundamental. I'm not one of those big believers of like fake it till you make it. I'm not the believer that it's like, hey, I'm going to go rent a private jet to do a photo shoot and then never take I've never done that anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm just not one of those guys. I'm going to tell you how it is. And if somebody, wants to hang out with me or, wants me to develop them a brand or, have the company create amazing assets for them, then you're going to see me sitting at a desk for 12 hours a day and
Yeah.
connecting with people and writing emails and building creative and just being able to communicate at a fundamental level that's fun and exciting, and you get to talk about their mission and their values and what they want to accomplish, talk about their goals. I tell you what, I have the best job in the world, and I'm really fortunate, and I'm not going to let it slip. But that's me. Like that's so when I talk about telling stories to create a connection, earn trust, right? Like, when it comes to the strategy side of video storytelling, it's going, I'm trying to go, how many connections can I make through someone's unique story, through their unique
Mhm.
DNA that like create all these little connection points. So somebody in London can go, oh my gosh, I get that. Somebody in San Francisco, oh my gosh, I get that. And that's really critical to our process, even though like, you look at video production and storytelling, it's very emotional. And
Yes.
so I think the beautiful blend of, some of us on my team are strategy, 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 and some of us on our team are emotion, 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 and bringing that together to never kind of marry the two compared to pulling them apart is really critical for that storytelling piece to earn trust. And so that's the way we do it. But I'm a big believer in just owning it, and just owning who you are. Be your DNA. You're made this
Yeah.
way, and rock it.
Yeah. So there are also many people who are to some degree afraid to stay in front of the camera. What advice can you share with these people who don't want to stay in front of the camera because they are not this front man? Do you have a lesson or something that you can share with them?
I'm a big believer in going back to what I just said is like know your DNA. And if you're not good in front of the camera, don't go in front of the camera. Like if your talent is writing, then write a blog, get on Twitter. If it's picture taking, create trust that way. Whatever it
Yes.
is, maybe it's showcasing your story or showcasing a part of your process to build that trust, to tell your story. So
Yeah.
lean into your strengths. We interview so many people, and it's like if you're not good on camera, then like let's find somebody that is, because that going out to the world is going to come make your brand come across as timid or scared, or it's like, no, this is what I got to do. I have to be in front of the camera. Then just go talk into a mirror. Like the old trick, like read the newspaper and make it sound exciting. I think that's an old
Yeah.
news anchor trick where it's like, hey, I'm going to read a newspaper and make it sound like super exciting, where it's
Yeah.
like just talk to your camera for 10 minutes every morning. Go into a mirror and talk and read the newspaper and work on your inflection points. But I
Yeah.
know it's scary staring right into a lens and, potentially opening yourself up. But through, practice, and if you're decent at it, just lean into it. But if you're not, then figure out what's the best way for you to communicate, because I'll call myself out on it. As a dyslexic human being, if someone told me I needed to write a blog every day, it would take me 4 to 5 hours. And
Mhm.
but I can get on and communicate a message in 2 minutes. That
Yeah.
takes me 2 minutes.
Yes, that's really what I believe that you can do. If you have struggled with blog, by the way, then you should use GPT-3 technology. So there are many AI tools who can write the blogs for you. So but
Yeah, I would say that I
yeah,
might need the link to that. But the other
yeah,
thing I know, like this isn't a sponsored ad, but like Grammarly has been my best friend. Like my emails have gotten so much better after subscribing to Grammarly a couple of years ago. And
yeah.
big shout out to Grammarly. Thank you.
Hey, we love you guys. But Grammarly can Grammarly also create blog articles with
No,
headlines and subheadlines? Okay,
it
that's
just
so this is
takes my nonsense and says, this is a
it
terrible sentence.
structures it.
Rephrase this. You spelt this wrong. And hey, you're getting better. Awesome.
Okay, that's cool. Maybe I have to check it. I just tried the free version, but never used it on the paid version. Yeah,
I like the
okay.
paid version. I'll back the paid version, like the freemium model in the SaaS
Yeah,
industry right now. We all know it.
yeah.
We all know it really well. But like, this is the one that I'll pay for, and I'll consistently keep paying for.
It's worth the money that
Yeah,
you
I mean,
invested.
I totally agree. And they're coming out with new, like you talk about AI, and I know we're going to get to that, but it's like the
Yeah,
learning that they have attached to it. I've seen it gotten just immensely better.
that's cool. So yeah, that's already the topic AI. So artificial intelligence for all the people who are watching the first time. I'm a big believer in AI in the content space because I saw, okay, in order to have the competitive advantage
Hmm.
for your business, or for you as an entrepreneur, you need AI tools implemented in your business daily life. So this means GPT-free technology, which write blog articles for you or social media postings, ad campaigns that are created by these kind of technologies. So that's the reason why I started the show, because I wanted to dig deeper. So what is one of your first memories when it comes to AI?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh man, no one's ever asked me that one. Um, that's a solid question. I really like that. I mean, honestly, I think this is going to sound super funny, but like probably the very first AI piece of tech that I remember is like the paperclip on like Microsoft Word. You know,
Ah,
when it was like,
okay.
are you trying to
Yeah,
create a resume? Like, are you, this is spell check. Like, you remember that,
yeah,
like, what do they call it? Like Clippy down at the bottom?
yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Right? I think that's really like the first piece of AI I remember. And like, I was probably, late 90s that, it was, when I was in middle school, that was a part of,
Yeah,
I remember that so vividly. I think that was the very first thing, like really AI driven. And I know it's so foundational and like, it's like spell check, right? But
yes.
when Clippy was like, "Are you writing a resume, or are you writing an email, or are you writing this, or are you writing a letter?" Like, it was very thoughtful and even formatting them, and then it reformatted everything. So I think that was the very first AI I would call out.
And how was your feeling back then?
I, I mean, I was 8. I wasn't writing a resume,
Oh, okay.
but I remember just being like, "All right, this is thoughtful." Like
Okay.
it was the word thoughtful. It was intelligent. Did I know exactly what it was going to turn into? Absolutely not. But it was thoughtful. It was going, hey, this is trying to make me better and
Yeah.
offer something. And I was, dear Microsoft, thanks.
So many companies today that we mentioned, we are full exposure. We don't we are not sponsoring or something. Just to know, okay, everything fine. So okay, that's cool. So first memory, and but you are also implementing AI nowadays in your business, right? So AI plays a big role for, especially for video production, I guess. So I also bought one AI tool who can highlight videos sequences. So
Mm,
I say something like, I want 30-second video snippets from a 1 hour interview,
mm,
and this AI shows me or gives me suggestions. Okay, take these, take minute 4:25 until minute 5:30 or something. So it
mm,
gives me suggestions. But I'm really curious about what kind of AI tools you are using. Can you
mm.
explain them a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I think one that probably won't people will recognize, but it's really true, is when you look at video editing or video coloring, for example. There's that auto button when you go into, Lightroom is Adobe's editing software, and it's really well recognized. Photoshop's there, Premiere is in the Adobe suite, which is what we're invested into. But it's as very simple as hitting auto, and what that does is it takes the metadata of the photo. It understands what your ISO was your shutter speed, all those different details, and then at that point says, "Hey, this is what the image should look like on auto." So we're not using auto, but I always think it's one of those things that people just very much overlook as like that
Mhm.
AI piece. Thankfully, we're not using auto, but hey, it's there, and it's never the image that I want to create. I'll be very honest. I always kind of
Yeah.
like I always kind of test it, and I'm like, let's see. Let's see what Adobe wants me this to look like. But never comes out that great, but not the point. Adobe, again, a lot of praise. We love you. And but I'll tell you, if you are going to sponsor us, come on over. We're giving you guys enough money. But anyways, I digress into saying that right now it's one of those things where, like you said, there's so much AI in this content space. You put a podcast into a room, you could put them into an upload folder, you do this, but it really then says, hey, what can you do with that? And what we've found through doing a ton of research is that it's either like, hey, you get it fully automated or you get zero automation. There's really nothing that kind of blends together in a lot of different ways into understanding thoughtfulness and learning with the user or the person or the company's profile. It was always just like, here's the nuts and bolts, bang, bang, boom. Like, here's it fully automated, here's nothing automated, and like, here's a reference. where, you recognize it all the time. You go to transcription sites and it's like 80% accurate.
Mhm.
All right, well then how do we get that to be better? And kind of our thought or our philosophy of what we're working on is kind of that middle point of going, hey, you can fully if you want it, but like we're going to build you a foundation that AI delivers to then have you offer tweaks, but it should learn with you as you use the software, as you use the fundamental principles of what you're picking, how you're building your profile. It should be able to adapt with you. So that's something that we're working on. But other things, truly, it's simple, like Slack integrations is like a huge part of what we're doing, because it cycles the system so much easier, where it's not just manpower behind it. So there's a lot of different small things, but we're working on a big thing. How about that?
Sounds awesome. But just to make a clear point, so you're working also on your own AI software, is that right?
We are.
Okay,
We are right now.
okay,
Yeah, we're working
cool.
on it. It's a long play. We know it is, and but we have some. Thankfully, we have some smart people on it, and we're rocking and rolling. We're throwing a bunch of ideas out, and we're treating it like a creative company. So we're throwing all the creative problem solving measures at it.
Mhm. But it's currently on a beta station, so it's not like that I could
No,
buy it. Okay.
you can. Yeah, you wouldn't even know it existed.
Yeah. Okay.
But I tell you what, when it does come live, I'm gonna need you to test it. I'm just gonna call that
Yeah.
out right now.
Would love to test it
Great, thank you.
for sure. So tell a little bit more about the process. So what is the reason that you said okay? Because I mean, you're a video production company,
Mhm.
right? And
Yep.
then one day you wake up and say, "Well, I have to create the software." Where is this coming from?
It was coming from a model that we were trying to implement, where we recognize that all editing needs a little bit of a personal touch. We talked about how video storytelling is emotional. And
Yes.
yeah, we can be very strategic with it, and like there can be a person behind the strategy, but it's got to feel something. And it's got to, you go to the movies, you don't pay for the trailer, but you go for the movie, you go for the experience, you go to escape or to learn something or whatever that is. And
Yes.
lovingly, AI hasn't been built, hasn't done that yet, where they're going, cool, here's all the footage, and like let the movie just like play. You know,
Yeah.
great directors, cinematographers didn't just shoot a bunch of stuff and said, make a movie. Like, there it is, right? So
Yeah.
it still takes months for somebody to sit down and plan the movie. And it takes months to somebody sit down and go edit the movie. So that's where we really sat, where it's like we have to add this personal touch. But how do we add the personal touch with a high level of speed and efficiency? And that's where we kind of came up to it going, can we empower a ton of people to turn out content? But then at that point, it was only at the value and the speed of the editor. And if the
Yes.
editor didn't know the company, they didn't know the feeling or why the logo was the way it was or anything like that, then that only slows the process down. So in our side of things, we really tried to build that into like our efficiency and our best practices at the Littlefield company. But we said, hey, what if there is a piece of tech where something knows me and my company? They have all the logos, they have everything they need, they have the colors, they know the why, they see the preferences that I've picked. Can we build something that evolves or adapts with that? And that's where it really like the principle started.
Mhm.
And we all know it. It's like we build something, and it's just this little like thorn that you just can't get rid of. And you're just like, I got to get this on paper. And all of a sudden, it turned to a big whiteboard. And all of a
Yes.
sudden, we had something that's just like, is this actually going to work? And we're getting information that it actually might. So that's what we're still going down. And yeah, it's just like one of those things where we can't make it all automated. Like we can't
Yeah.
make content all automated and so unpersonal and unconnected, because at the core of content and video production and storytelling and everything like that, we are so connected, and we have to be. It's you watch a movie, you watch a video, you watch a YouTube, whatever it is. You watch an Instagram
Yes.
30-second video, and you're connected. You can see yourself in that video. You can see yourself hanging out with that person. You can feel the energy that they're going through. And that's really, really critical to any type of storytelling. And great levels of storytelling at that. So from our side, we had to build the blend, and we had to give the user the ability to float from like, hey, I want this to be more AI driven, and I want this to be more me driven. But
Mhm.
somebody coming in with zero editing experience or video production or anything like that, we all know how those iPhone videos turn out. They're
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting, because I see this mixture between AI and also uh, human touch.
Mhm.
So I interviewed also another software developer, and he also said the AI is really good in one specific niche or something very specific, and then you still need a lot of people who help you with and take the part from the AI. And so
Mhm.
it's this mixture where the superpower comes, in my opinion. And your illustration showed this also. That's great. Yeah, it's really cool.
I appreciate it. And that's what, kind of that's what I don't want to say we're solving for, but like that is like our North Star, right? Like
Mhm.
that's what we're focused on. Like that's what's in front of us. That's what's out there. And we're saying like, hey, we got to be there. Like if we fall in here, like great, like cool, we develop something cool, but like this is like we have to connect what our core is. And our
Mhm.
core is deep rooted storytelling to create trust and connection for an audience. And that's
Yeah,
that's what we got to do.
yeah, awesome. So if people watching this and say, yeah, maybe I should also become a software developer or create my own AI. What so let's
Mhm.
speak let's talk a little bit about your team. So what kind of people do you need in order to create your own AI tools, so to say, or your AI software? Can you speak a little bit about this?
Yeah, I'm actually really fortunate to have a great partner in this. A gentleman named Josh Feedy. He started a company called Sales Reach. It's salesreach.io. It's an amazing platform for sales and truly connection driving for large agencies, small companies, whatever it is. But it is an incredible tool for let's call it customer acquisition and pure connections. So from there, I called him as I was using his tool, using Sales Reach, and at just great speed. And him and I, funny enough, he might mention this to you if you talk to him, but I actually broke Sales Reach for like 24 hours because of how fast and efficiently I was using it. So we did so much problem solving and troubleshooting for why I was having the issue as we
Okay.
finally worked through it. But we recognized in that moment that we were able to work together, and we recognized the communication with me talking to his development team and this and that, and we went through this whole big cycle to say, hey, like that was not easy, but like it was really easy to communicate around a problem. So for me, like I would say, like as someone who doesn't code or doesn't understand that aspect of it, and like I had to go find that, I had to go bring the team in, and like Josh had that, you know
Yeah.
Josh has the resources in that space, so I can talk to him at a very, very high level of what I want it to do, what I want it to look like, how I want it to feel. And then at that point, he can work with his team or team that we hire that says, like, hey, but he can manage it from a very, very high level. So that's number one, is understanding what you don't have and understanding the strengths and weaknesses that you bring in from your DNA or your past company or really whatever. But so I brought Josh in very early, said, hey, we're going to go drive this thing. Like, let's rock. And then there's other people, like, another partner in this is Brian, who you know very well. And it's like, no,
Brian Bogart.
he has to help me create that connection with the person using it. So we have this kind of like, three-headed approach where it's like we're driving it, but it's like there's somebody driving it from this side, there's somebody else driving it from this side. And really fortunate to have, two great individuals, right next to me. And then plus a whole group of people who thankfully think this is a good idea, and a lot of them thought it wasn't doable, which means that it probably can be one day, because some people thought it was doable, some people were like, nope, absolutely not, and usually that turns out to
I
a pretty
mean,
good idea.
yeah, it's. I mean, yeah. I mean, SpaceX. I mean, many people. What were their thoughts about traveling to space as a tourist? I mean,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sales Reach AI was the name.
Yeah, salesreach.io is the platform, the website. Incredible piece of tech. So easy to use. I mean, I tell you what, I am a lifelong customer. You know, maybe I just talked myself into a lifetime deal with Josh, but I'm not going anywhere. It's an amazing software where you can communicate with people at a very simple level of like docs and communication right all in one system. Or at that point, you can upload personal videos, you can upload a hero video, you can add tiles. It is just one of those things where it is probably the best follow-up tool that I have ever seen in my entire life.
Cool. Sounds really cool. I will check it. Nice. So when it comes to the vision of your company, so where do you, especially when I mean, you're working on this AI software, what is the vision for your company for the next 3 to 5 years? Where do you see yourself and your company?
Yeah, so reality is that with, Sidecar, which is the AI company, and the Littlefield company, they have to work together because the reality is that the AI space taking over the content to maximize efficiency and let's call it production, that it's going to be a part of marketing video production in the near future. It's already there, but somebody is going to figure out the right uh, formula, the right code to understand human connection and emotion to leverage with strategy. Because right now, in my eyes, AI is mainly strategy. And again, AI doesn't have a heart and a soul. And I know like a lot of people are working on a robot to like feel that way. You go back to the iRobot days of Will Smith and
Yeah.
all that. But the truth of it is like it is heavily built in strategy, X's and O's right now. Now, somebody
Okay.
has to understand the connection for storytelling specifically. There's so much AI that is all strategy and it's pull levers here, here, and here. The storytelling and the emotional aspect of it is so critical for what we're doing in today's world that, I don't want to say people are overlooking it, but I don't think people are taking accountability into as they're building AI for content and marketing and purposes. Like you got to also then play the story route and that personal touch. It's here, it's right here.
Yeah.
So where the Littlefield company and Sidecar, they have to work together. And I'm grateful that I have an amazing team at the Littlefield company who's going to be able to test this really regularly. And it's going to go, this worked really well. Now now it's brutal. But it's got to work together and find that balance between, high level storytelling and the production quality with having a heart, but then like the strategy and the efficiency of what computer learning AI intelligence can do for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. How big is your team, by the way?
So the Littlefield company is about to get to 20 people, which is incredible. Really, really fortunate for that. Our goal is to be about two. We're at I think we're going to be at 20 people by the end of the year. So I think we're going to get there a little faster than the end of the year, but we're really excited about that.
Cool. So are you located on one place or remote? How is
No,
the
so right now we have two offices, one in Charlotte, North Carolina, and one in Las Vegas. And we're working on actually opening a small office, TBD on location by the end of the year. But then we also have about 5 people who work remote.
cool? Really cool.
Mhm.
Nice. So we spoke a little bit about it, but one question that I always ask is, so in your opinion, what are big misunderstandings when it comes to AI that you would love to tackle?
Oh, for me personally, or just like the marketplace in general?
We can speak about both. So for you personal?
For me personal, I think my focus is the AI space with that storytelling and that personal side. We're putting a lot of measurements in place where it's like it's going to take you a little longer to like maybe build a profile than you would if you're setting up a Gmail account.
Mhm.
And that's where we're really going into that space to hopefully have it learn and adapt. Pick up as much as it can along the way. But that's what I'm focused on tackling because if I take on any more, I don't know if my wife would be very happy because she wouldn't see me very much. But then on the other AI space, man, I've only been focused on this one thing over here. So for me, um, there's got to be new solutions created around fundamental, simple things that just make life easier. Like, that just make life easier. And I know they're out there. I probably just haven't found them yet. But it's like the smart refrigerator, right?
Yes.
The milk gets to quarter full and it just orders it on Amazon. Like, that's happening. Like, it's the smart grocery store where you just put everything in a cart, like Amazon's testing right now. You put everything in a cart and you walk out. But I think there's going to be moments where, like, toothpaste is going to have a chip in it where it recognizes, like, when you got, like, 3 uses left, and then just like it just shows up in your cart. And that's going to be scary and terrifying, but really cool all at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm not tackling that. I'm gonna put it out there right now. That is not my burden to bear, but someone's gonna do it, and I think it's gonna be really darn cool.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, because I'm also in this game. That's the reason why I make the show, and I'm going full in this game. But I always meet people who oftentimes can't explain it on a rational side. So it's like an emotional thing. Yeah, well, I don't want to do this. And then I ask, okay, but what is the reason? Yeah, I don't know, but it doesn't feel right. I mean, what does this mean even? I don't get it. So therefore I'm asking always this question just to share this experience and to maybe get more answers to this weird answer. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, again, what I'm gonna solve is I want to help on the personal side of like that piece because I know it. That's what I'm like. Not even because I'm invested into it, because I actually care about it. What people will, you get to know me, and it's like, I am extraordinarily IQ on the IQ EQ side, but it's like I have the best people helping me on the EQ side on the fundamental level, where it's like, no, like, it's got to do this, this, and this. And it, like, strategically makes sense that it has to be personal. And, it's just one of those things where I'm so intrigued by it. And maybe at that point, if we create it, it makes me a little more EQ focused, and then everybody's happy.
Yeah. That's cool. Makes sense. So when it comes to AI tools, so you already mentioned Grammarly. Do you, other than that, do you use other tools when it comes to AI tools?
Gosh, yeah, test me with this one. We are, yeah, definitely we do. We use Zoho. We have a bunch of scripts written out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we got a few implemented. Nothing crazy to a point where it, like, triggers a whole line item of things of, like, written code. But no, we got a few things implemented where it just shows up in the right places, and I don't even have to think about it. And Calendly is a great one, right? Like, you look at what Calendly's done, and, like, that's such a simple process, and I'm extraordinarily thankful for them to just make it simple on the other user side as well, where it's like, nope, it connects right to my Gmail. I don't think twice about it, and rock and roll. So that's one that I absolutely adore. And finally, when I recognized that it wasn't as impersonal as I originally thought it was, that I'm full into it and I love it.
Yeah, cool. Or oftentimes also MailChimp. Many people don't even know that MailChimp is using AI.
Totally.
I mean, it's give me a
HubSpot,
time.
like,
HubSpot,
everything's using AI. Like, everything is using AI, even down to, like, photo editing is using AI. Like, this world is going into a space. Like, think about how you and I connected here, right?
Yes.
Pretty simple. Like, it went to a point where it just, like, triggered and triggered and triggered, and then we got here.
Yes, it's I mean, yeah, it's destiny.
It's
cool.
It's fundamental. And
It's
just
fundamental.
I'm really fortunate that there's so many smart people out there in the world that, like, had the thought of, like, we should make this easier, and they did.
Yeah. Okay, to your AI tool. So if you had all the resources on the planet, time and money doesn't count, what AI project? So how would your AI software look like? So in your ideal world, if we just daydream now.
Oh man, you're gonna let me give up the secret sauce, huh? The what our goal is what we're trying to build, what we're focused on is saying, hey, you put up a piece of content and it kicks you right into an editing suite. Then at that point, it allows you to pull clips in and out, but it sorts it already for you. But then at that point, you can offer suggestions and do all these different things to be able to create a piece of content super efficiently with adding the personal touch in. And so, like, all said and done, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I want to make it super simple where somebody like me, as somebody who knows how to edit, can edit it. But I also want something like a new user or someone who's just engaging with content as a marketer or as a videographer or whatever can go, hey, let me build a baseline on
Mhm.
what is, let's call it technical standards, because like that's how we learn a lot of things. We learn a lot of things through YouTube University is a huge one right now. But
Yes.
also there was so many times where, learning photography for me, I would go take my camera, put it on auto, and then at that point let the sensor read it and go, cool, this is how the camera sees on this how this photo should be taken in these settings, in these environments. Well, then at that point I take the photo, I look at it and I examine it. And I go, I don't really like the way this looks. I want it to look different. And at that point, I then learn from that moment. And
Mm.
AI fundamentally should do the same thing, but it should do the same thing for you as a user and you as your persona and your company and whoever you're speaking about. So it's taking like a fundamental space and going, nope, I don't like this. Nope, I like this. I don't like this. Working it down to then go all of a sudden 6 months later, a year later, 2 weeks later, it should have a new piece of information where it's triggering these things because it's pulling it out because you said no to it the first time or the second time or the third time.
Yes. Makes sense. Awesome. I'm very excited to test it in the near
Me
future,
too.
hopefully.
Me too. We got to get there.
Yes. Awesome. So my last question. So who can you recommend for my live show? So somebody who's within the AI space or in the content space, or the ideal is
I'd call Josh.
Josh. Okay.
I'd call Josh Fee. I mean, yeah, no question about it. One of my favorite quotes about Josh, and maybe this ruins it, but it's one of my favorite things that he ever said to me is that, I told him I was going to come out and see him back in September. We were chatting about getting out there, and he lives in Minnesota,
Yeah.
and so we were going back and forth, and he said to me, he goes, "All right, you're in perfect driving season for the time of the year. What car do you want to drive?" And I was like, dude, I don't care. Like, I'm just coming out to see you for a day. And he goes, well, you can either have the Corvette or the hot rod. And I go, come
Okay.
on. And then at that point, he sends me the two photos and he goes, pick one. And one's a beautiful yellow convertible Corvette, and the other is this like deep green hot rod. And I was like, well, you are doing life a whole lot better than me. And his response, which I love about him, he goes, nope, you're doing pretty well. I just make more noise. So for that, I love him for that. He is the perfect balance between like work hard and enjoy life in the process, but to watch his brain think and work on a problem and a solution is really special. So, man, I'd call Josh because he's doing it.
Yeah. Sounds amazing. I mean, I'm always open to speak with new people, and this sounds like a very interesting, cool entrepreneur. And yeah, would love to get an intro. Would
I will
appreciate it.
happily make it. How about that? Of
That's cool. Amazing. Appreciate it. Thank you.
course.
So, Danke. When people want to find more information about you, so where should they go?
I would start with the website, thelittlefield.co. That's a
Mhm.
great place. The Littlefield Co. on all social platforms, Instagram and all that. Or you can check my Instagram out. That is DF Littlefield. But obviously, all the links are attached to everywhere. So come find me or find me on LinkedIn. It's Duncan Littlefield or the Littlefield Company on LinkedIn.
Yes, that's awesome. Do you have some last statement that you want to share with the community?
Oh man, I mean, the reality is that it's very simple just to say be your DNA, but it's one of the core values here at the Littlefield Company because I'm a genuine, true believer in right now at this very moment you are the best version of yourself, and it might not feel that way, or it might feel like you're riding a high or you're at the bottom, but the reality is that you have lived your life and absorbed as much information education experience as humanly possible. So right now, it is the best version of you. And if you can wake up and do what you love, get paid to do it, and survive, and go, you know, kick some derriere, it's pretty
Yeah.
awesome. So be you, be your DNA, and be kind to people. So like that's my final thoughts. You know what? That's what I live by, and you know what? I'm sticking to it.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Duncan. Thank you for your time and for your inspiration and your thoughts. And hopefully we'll see you soon again.
I'd love to be back anytime you want me. I love talking to you. I love talking to AI and marketing and video and storytelling and all that. So
Yes,
whatever you want to bring up next, I'm in, buddy.
that's cool. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I really
Bye.
appreciate it. And thanks for having me.